Hey everybody, my name is Valentina Vee and welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesdays. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to edit a fitness video. And I thought that this would be a good topic to cover because I feel like fitness videos are very specific. And there's also ways that you can make it not annoying for people. And I don't know what kind of fitness videos you like to watch, if you even watch fitness videos. But for me, I like to watch fitness videos where there's not so much on the yapping and I don't have to like actually listen to it in case maybe there's music that I don't like or something like that. Everything is sort of self-explanatory, everything is written out. I like fitness videos where I know how much time I have left in a section. I know what the sections are. I have a plan. I know exactly how long it's going to be, and everything is sort of laid out for me. And I have several different tips that I can share on how to edit something like that. Looks like Caitlin's in the chat room. She says she's looking forward to it. Hey, Caitlin, if you're in the chat room over here on Behance, definitely let me know. Behance. Where's the emphasis on that? On the Behance or the Behance? Not sure. But let me know in the chat room where you're tuning in from, and also if you've been doing any fitness over the past year and what kind of fitness you do. Why not? I have been doing a lot of walking. I try to walk at least 5 miles a day. I know that's kind of intense, but that's what I'm trying to do with my days. It doesn't always happen. Looks like Max is in the chat room. Wade is in the chat room. Steve is here. Hello, everybody. Good to have you here. So I'm also moving apartments here in LA, which is not an easy thing to do. So this background, this is the last time you're seeing it. The next time you'll see me, I'll be in my new studio. I'm getting a studio in my new apartment, and hopefully it'll be soundproof-ish. Caitlin likes high energy dance classes. That's awesome. All right. So essentially, what I did was I went to my new apartment, which currently has no furniture, and I recorded a fitness warm up. Little fun fact about me: before I was a filmmaker, I taught fitness classes for 3 years. Yes, I had like 60, 70 people in my classes. I taught all over LA. And this kind of took me back a little bit. I will say I'm no longer certified. My certifications ran out. So this should not be taken as an actual fitness video. But anyway, let me show you what I got here. On my desktop, I have my my main my main hard drive over here, and I have fitness video as a folder, and inside that I have footage, audio, graphics, etc. In footage, I have 4 video clips that I recorded with my phone. I recorded it inside of the Adobe Rush app. I think it's important for me to have recorded this with my phone because it just goes to show that you can create a really dynamic looking, exciting looking fitness video with just recording on your phone with natural light, nothing too fancy. So you can see this is like a 4-minute warm-up video. Thank you, VLC. I do not want that. I recorded it in 4K so that I could have the ability to reframe it. But yeah, it's essentially me doing a little warm-up situation for 4 minutes. And most of this is going to get cut out so that it ends up being like a 2-minute warm-up video. And then I have a few videos of me just pointing at things, which you'll understand why I'm doing that very soon. And then I have this little video, which I recorded vertical in order to have it sort of like as a call out or as a pop-up mid video. Whether people want it or not, it's going to be there. And it's me talking about modifications.
Remember, you can always do variations. So if you can't do the star jumps, just step out to the side. You don't even need to put your arms in there. There's always a way for you
So
to get the
I'm
most out
basically
of your
saying that you can
workout.
always have variations. So that's it, right? It's just a video of myself doing a warm up and a couple of videos of me pointing. And it's very, very simple to do. So when I'm in Premiere, I just go ahead and open up Premiere 2021. This is the screen that pops up. I'm just going to say new project, browse, and I'm going to find that Premiere folder within my fitness video folder. So here I have footage, audio, graphics, all the way down to Premiere over here. And that's where I'll put my fitness video. I'm going to select that folder and I'm going to say 2-minute warm up. And I'm going to say, okay. And here I have, let's go to the default organization. This is what you'll see when you open up Premiere. You'll have your source, your program, your project, and your timeline. So we'll put clips in here. Those clips will show up here as a preview. Then we can drag them into our timeline to build our video, and we can preview our timeline in the program monitor, which is exactly what we'll do. Now, luckily, since my folders are very organized already, all I have to do is go to that folder, grab footage and audio by holding down Command, and drag both of them in to my project. It'll say that there's some file import failures because there's a couple of things I have in there, like Audition projects and stuff that I don't need. But essentially, there we have the footage and the audio. And actually, let me get rid of most of the audio here because we only need the one track. So one interesting thing that I decided to do, just because I wanted to show you how to do it, is I recorded my video with just like my internal clock as far as timing goes. And then I grabbed a clip that was a completely different BPM, beats per minute. So how do I line it up so that my exercising lines up with the beat of the actual track? Because maybe when if you're making a fitness video, you are listening to some copyrighted music in order to keep the beat. And then you want to put some non-copyrighted music in the background, some royalty-free music. And it's hard because you may not know the beats per minute of your track. So there is a way to line this up in a very interesting way. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So let's go into the footage here. And I actually have a proxy in here as well. But this is the file. If I right click and I go to properties, you can see the properties of the file, and you can see that it's actually a 4K file. Let me turn on my zoom tool. I got so many tools up in here. I got my zoom tool, which zooms in and out. I got my highlight tool. So you can see right here, image size 3840 by 2160. Now I want to make this video. Let's say I want to make this video for YouTube and for Instagram TV, and maybe a version for TikTok now that TikTok allows 3-minute videos. So I want to make it both vertical and horizontal, which this is perfect for, having a large image size. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's good. That's fine. Let's start making a sequence. So I have my footage bin, I have my audio bin. Let's make a third bin and call it sequences. So I'll go down here to new item, and then I'll go to sequence and create a sequence. My default sequence for YouTube is just going to be the very first preset, RE1080 23976. And I'm going to name it 01, so that everything's like alphabetical. 01 assembly. So this is going to be my assembly sequence. And I can just go ahead and drag this entire clip over here. So now I have my main video clip, which is my workout. It is just under 5 minutes long. Eventually, I want to get it to around 2 minutes long. I have this audio, attached audio with it, which is nothing. Because if you listen to it, it's just me jumping. Because I didn't want to play music because I don't want to get copyright strikes for this live stream. And you have the video here. Now the video is punched in, right? Because we're in a 1920 by 1080 sequence, yet our clip is 3840 by 2160 pixels. So if I go over here to effect controls and I select the word motion, and then I zoom out to like 10%, you can see the edges of the clip are here. So in order to set them to the frame size, I'm just going to right click, set to frame size. So again, I right click and then go to set to frame size. And also you can see that the scale here changed. So before it was 100%. And then when I did set to frame size, it changed to 50, which means, oh my goodness, the kitty's in here. She's never made an appearance before. Hi. Okay, hold on. You're gonna have to make this full screen because Freya came to say hello. Hey, baby. I thought I closed the door. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, we love you, but you can't be here. I have to take her out. One sec. Little kitty cameo. Yeah, I have to close the door. One sec. Otherwise, she'll just like always be bothering us. Okay, pardon the interruption. We're back. We're back. So, essentially, I just made it to the size of the screen. So you can see that now it is full screen and the entire workout is here. Now, the good thing is I made this a pretty wide shot, which I could because it's my new apartment. So there's nothing in there, nothing too distracting in there. I made it a pretty wide shot because that way I could reframe it however I want. I could put text on the screen. I could put graphics on the screen, whatever I want on the screen. So first, let's get rid of this audio bit because we don't need it. It's just me huffing and puffing. So I'm going to hold down Alt and then click it. That doesn't honor the linking, right? Because it's a linked clip. It has video and audio. But if you hold down Alt and then click just the audio, you can select just the audio. I'm going to delete that. And now I'm going to go through the clip in double time, triple time. And number one, see what the heck I did. And number two, see how many reps and sets of things I did and clean it up just a little bit. But before I do that, because this is a 4K clip, so it's going to play back kind of choppy, I need to create a proxy. So I'm going to select the clip in my project bin over here, right click, go to proxy, create proxies. What this does is it creates a lower bit rate, a lower quality version of the clip for me to then use and edit with. It won't be in the export. It'll just help me it'll help my computer process faster, especially when I'm on the live stream so that my CPU doesn't, shut down. So usually I would just press OK after choosing the ingest preset that I have here called 4K proxy. But because I've already made the proxy, I've already done it. So I'm going to press cancel instead. And I'm going to right click and instead go to proxy, attach proxies. And then it already found that. So I'm going to say attach. This is my proxy that I made earlier. And voila. So now my proxy, I'm viewing my proxy instead of viewing my footage. You can see here, this proxy, enable proxies button is enabled, which means I'm viewing the proxy instead of viewing the actual full resolution media. And you can kind of tell sometimes it's still a very high quality proxy. So like if I zoom in 400%, maybe you can tell, like, let's see, like on the edges of things, you can maybe tell, but not really. Like I can toggle them off, toggle it on. It's very, very slight. So now that I have my proxy here, what I'm going to do is go through the video in double, triple time, quadruple time by doing the JKL keys. So J is rewind, which I don't use too much. K is period, and L is forward. I usually just use, honestly, I just use L and I use the space bar as always to stop. So I'm going to go through L and the space bar to sort of zoom through it. You can see here, I press L several times and it goes through faster. And I'm going to put those cuts in that I need to put in. So I'll go at the beginning, find that first cut. So this is me sort of getting ready. I'll start right after I do this. Okay, right there. So this is kind of where I want to start the video. So I'm going to insert a cut at the playhead by going to Command K or Control K. So right here, Command K, I place a cut, and then I get rid of everything in the front by deleting it. So right click, ripple delete. Another way to do this a lot easier is just to press the Q button on the keyboard. So instead of doing that, I'll just press Q on the keyboard, and that'll both insert a cut and ripple delete everything in front. So I'll go Q, then I'll go, okay, where do I want to insert the next cut? I want to insert the next cut right here, Command K. So this is me basically giving different options. I'm looking to the left and to the right because I want to put text there. So when I look to the left, right here, I want to put 2 minute. And then when I look to the right, I want to put the words warm up, right? So I just gave different versions of it. I have 2 minute warm up. I also have a version where I'm like pointing. I also have a version where I think I'm pointing a little higher. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to use the first one, and then I'm just going to cut to the very beginning of where I start the workout, which is like right here. I'm going to press Q again. So it goes straight from like this to the workout. And now I can start counting the 8 counts, right? So this whole thing is done in 8 counts. All music pretty much is done in 8 counts. So it's like, how many 8 counts am I going to have for each motion? So I have walks, side lunges, high knees, jumping jacks, star jumps, side reaches, overhead reaches, back to side reaches, and back to overhead reaches. And that's the workout. So I'm pressing L to kind of scrub through and then counting. And the thing is, I'm going to insert cuts in between just so that I know where each section ends, but I don't actually want to cut anything from between the sections. Like, I don't actually want to cut anything out because I'm going with an internal rhythm. And so if I cut anything out, that means that the rhythm will be broken. That means that when I then match it to the music, it just won't fit. The entire thing won't fit. So I'm just inserting cuts for myself to know where they need to be. So here's the next thing. Gonna wait until that's done. It's a lot of them. I think this is like 12. Okay. So until that's done, right there, insert that cut. Etc., etc. You get it, right? So I can skip this whole thing. Okay, let me open up the version where I've already done this. Okay, so here I am, and I've already put all of the cuts in that I need to put in. The video itself is around 2 minutes and 19 seconds, which is actually perfect because Twitter video can only be 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I can put this video across every social network, including Twitter. And I have this section in the middle where there's this thing that I did with options, right? So we're going to look at that a little bit later, but essentially for one section, it was a little bit more difficult because I did star jumps, and something in fitness videos that I like to emphasize, or I like it when people emphasize, is that you can have variations. So you can have something that's difficult, but then you could have a modification. So this is me showing 2 different modifications, a harder modification and an easier modification for the same move. But we'll look at that a little bit later. Or we could look at it now. Let's see, what's the next step here? It would be reframing. So yeah, we can actually do it now. So first things first, I think the very beginning is fine that I have this wide shot and I'm nicely composed in the center. So that's good. For this one, where it's just me walking, right? I think it would be nice to have a list off to the right of all of the different sections that are about to happen in this workout. And I'd like to move myself or over to the left. That's what I mean. I like to move myself to the right. And I also have a lot of headroom and a lot of room at the bottom. So I feel like I have a little bit more space to do that. So let me zoom myself in, or I can just select motion and move myself to the right. This is a good place to do it because I'm not like reaching up anywhere. So my hands aren't going to be out of the shot. I'm just walking. It's also nice because it changes framing. So between this, which is a wide, and then this next one, you know, that could be a jump cut, but because I changed framing, it looks more intentional. And then I can continue, let's see, going with this. I kind of wish I put a sandbag on my tripod. But you know what we can try though? Because right now you can see when I'm jumping, it kind of shakes a little bit. Let's see if Warp Stabilizer can help us out. I actually haven't tried this on this clip before, so we'll see. We'll go over to the Effects tab and we'll type in Warp Stabilizer, and it's right here. And Warp Stabilizer, a lot of people use for things like stabilizing backgrounds when you're moving through a space. But there's also this option here in Result. There's smooth motion, but there's also no motion option, which should make it like a tripod, essentially. So it'll analyze in the background for 2 minutes, and then we can come back to it and see if it's worked or not. So these are the high knees. Again, we can have the same framing, I think, for the high knees as before. So I can actually just copy that motion control over. So if I go select the word motion and I go Command C, I go over to the high knees section, I can go Command V, and there it is. That looks good to me. Now I can also, if I want, you know, if I get lost, because all of these are essentially the same color, right? And the same clip. If I want to give myself a little bit of a, hey, Valentina, like this is where that section is, I can always add a marker. So if I go up here to the top, and let's go to the beginning of this clip, I'll put my playhead blue line at the beginning of the clip by just going to the up and down arrows. That'll sort of snap to the next cut point. So if I go up, I go to that cut point, and then I can put a marker in here by just pressing M. You can see the marker appears up here, and then I can hold Alt while dragging it out, designating this as a segment marker, right? As a durational marker. And if I double click on it, I can actually write what it is. So this is walking. And actually I can even write exactly what it is. 6x8 walks. Great. Segmentation marker. Okay, there we go. 6x8 walks. I can do the same thing obviously over here. So I can add a marker, drag it out, double click, and then this would be 12x8 side lunges. Side lunges. Now you notice that when I'm going to the next clip here to put markers in, I click out of the clip before I press M and add a marker. Why is that? Well, because automatically by default, Premiere is always going to select the clip when you move your playhead, whether you're moving it with your mouse or whether you're just going up and down, it's always going to select the clip. And if the clip is selected and then you press M, it's actually going to add a marker to the clip, not to the timeline, right? So the way to go around that, 2 ways. You can either click out of the clip and then press M, and that adds a marker to your timeline, which you can then, you know, drag out and do all that fun stuff with. So this would be 4 times 8 high knees. Or you can disable the function to select the top clip always by going to sequence, selection follows playhead, and deselecting it. And that way the selection will not follow the playhead. So you can just go to each cut point and place a marker there. Marker, 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 marker. So I'm just pressing M, and then I'm dragging all of them out to be longer. You know, and I could do this all at once, essentially. So now that these boys are out here, I know that this one's jumping jacks, so I can do 2x8 jumping jacks. This one I can do 2x8 star jumps. This is the one with the modifications. This one is 4x8 side swayed side reaches, and so on and so forth, right? I can change their colors if I want. So that then I know exactly what's where. I'm going to save that. So now that I have it in sections, one thing that I do want to do is I do want to line up my modifications over here. So I'm going to hide the top 2 layers just so I can show you what the bottom layer looks like. The bottom layer is me doing star jumps. Regular star jumps. Now the second layer is me doing star jumps, but they're more intense because I'm picking up my legs. And the third layer is me doing star jumps, but they are not jumps. I'm just putting my legs out. So there's a couple of different ways that I want to go about this. The first way that I want to go about this is I need to line up the timings of the hits. The second thing I need to do is I need to figure out a way to display all 3 on my screen at once. And the third way is I want to add a little bit of animation so that they all sort of come in organically. Eric Sue says, I'm really bad with video editing. That's why I can only use Adobe Rush. Dorina says, I love Valentina's streams. It was especially useful last week when I created my first ever time-lapse video. Congrats, Dorina, for creating your first time-lapse video. That's really exciting. So in order to first line up the timings of this, I'm going to hide these 2. I'm going to go onto this lower one, and I'm actually going to add markers to the clip. So I'm going to go frame by frame. And right when I do the hit, I'm going to add a marker. So hit, another marker, hit, another marker, hit, another marker. So you can see that they're somewhat equidistant from each other over here, the markers. So now I go to the second one, and I'm going to, right when the hit happens, I'm going to put a marker. Keep going. Right there. Right there. Right there. Because I sort of want them to be like more or less lined up, right? I think I might have missed one at the top here. Let's see, did I? Yes, I did. Okay, so now that I see that they're sort of shifted off, I can go ahead and line them up. So more or less like that. So now I line them up on top of each other so that when they're on the screen at the same time, you can see me hitting them at the same time. And I'm going to do the modification round as well. So over here, every time I touch, I'm going to put a little marker. Every time my foot comes out. Right there. Right there. And now I can line up these markers a little bit better. Maybe not. Maybe they're like, let's see. More or less lined up somewhat like that. Okay, sure. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them like 1, 2, 3 on the screen at the same time. On the left one will be the original star jump. Here in the middle will be the hard modification. And here on the right will be the easy modification. So the first thing I'm going to do is make them look like that. So here on the easy modification, I'm going to insert a crop onto it. So I'm going to look up the crop effect under effects and drop it on. Then I'm going to crop I'm going to hide the bottom two so I don't get confused. I'm going to crop the left and the right. Now, if I do 33%, it should be exactly, a 1/3 slice. Sadly, I'm not in the middle exactly. So I'm going to do like 40. No, I'm going to do 36. I'm going to add 3 to that one. I'm going to subtract 3 from this one. 30. There we go. And now I'm going to move it off to the right. Okay, then this next one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to actually just add the same crop. So I'm going to go to crop, select it, copy, and then add that crop here. Move it off a little bit. There we go. And then the last one, the one underneath, is going to go on the right, but not right away, or on the left, but not right away. On the left, not right away. At first, I'm going to have it show up a little bit like this. And then right around here-ish, I'm going to shift it to the left. So I'm going to, but before I do that, let me put no, I'm going to shift it to the left. So I'm going to write the word star jumps on it, just as regular schmegular text. I'm going to say star jumps, and it's going to be right here. So I'm going to go to the text tool. I'm going to say star jumps. Move that text over here. Star jumps. I'm going to sweeten up the text a little bit. So go to Window, Essential Graphics. Oh, Essential Graphics already up on my window. Where is it? I'll see it. Let's go to Graphics. There it is. Star jumps. I'm going to change the font to, I don't know, Myriad Pro. That looks good. I'm going to make it center justified. I'm going to center it on the screen and move it down a little bit. And let's make it my brand color. I don't have a brand color, but let's just make it blue because that's my hair. And then let's give it a stroke. Let's give it a purple. Actually, let's not give it a stroke. Let's give it a shadow. That's classier. Okay, cool. So the word star jumps is there. Now I want to add, higher difficulty or lower difficulty, or what do I want those words to be? I want to say harder and easier, right? So I'm going to sort of like pancake all this together, like tessellate it one on top of the other. So I'm going to move this video layer. I'm going to move it up like by holding down Alt and just going to the up arrow. I'm going to hold this video layer, hold down Alt, go to the up arrow. No, actually, I don't need that much. Okay, so I need to put a layer of text here and another layer of text here. And so that's what I am going to do. This top one here, let's see, this top one, I'm going to put this layer of text. I'm going to hold down Alt and drag this layer of text up. So when I hold down Alt and drag, it duplicates it while dragging it to the correct spot. So I'm going to drag this up here and then drag it up again. Now this top layer corresponds to this side. So I'm going to just move it over here. And I'm going to say easier. This center layer is right here. And I'm just going to say harder. Okay. And the reason that I did it like this is because I want to add movement to all of these layers. And I want to add movement by doing nesting. So I'm going to nest these two, which is this text and this slice of video. I'm going to nest it. I'm going to select both of them, right click, nest, and I'm going to say easier slice. So now it's just one. Then I'm going to say harder, and then the middle slice right here. Now the middle slice has that crop effect on it. I'm going to right click, nest. I'm going to say harder slice. So now these two are slices, and I'm going to do the star jumps slice. So I'm going to right click. Now the star jump slice, if I hide all these, this is what it looks like. It's full screen. So I'm going to right click, say nest. I'm going to say star jumps slice. So now I just have 3 layers. I could go inside each one if I double click it. For example, if I go inside of easier slice and I double click it, there it is, the word easier. So I'm just going to move these down now because I don't need that many layers. And halfway through this bottom one, a little bit less than halfway through, I'm going to insert a keyframe that'll move it to the left because I want it to start full screen and then I want to move it to the left. And as it moves to the left, the other ones come in from the right. So let's go back to editing over here. So I'm going to keyframe the position by pressing the stopwatch next to position. And then I'm going to maybe do like 6 frames. So I'm pressing the right arrow button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 frames. And then move it off to the left here. Turn the other ones on just so that I can kind of see where a good spot for it to stop is. Yeah, right there. Okay, so this is going to be where my where the end of my movement is. So I'm going to put a marker here just to let me know. I'm just going to say M, and the marker appears down here. I'm going to go to the beginning of the movement, so the first keyframe over here, and I'm going to press M again so that it can visually tell me where the beginning of the movement is, which is over here, and where the end of the movement is over here, because I'm going to need to insert keyframes on the harder slice and on the easier slice nests. Essentially, these nests are their own like mini sequences, sort of like Russian nesting dolls. So then over here, let's start with the middle slice, right? This is where it should end up. So I'm going to turn the position on. That's where it ends up, but it starts off to the right. So I'm going to go to the previous marker over here and then move this guy off to the very right. So check that out. Check what happens. Right? So now I also need the easier modification. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to go to the last keyframe over here, turn this one on, add that keyframe in for position. Then I'm going to go to the previous keyframe, add another keyframe, and move the position off the screen. So now let's see what that looks like. let me actually render it so that it plays back a little bit better. So I'm going to do I and O. So literally pressing I and O on my keyboard so that this little section is going to be rendered. And I'm going to say sequence render into out. And that way for this playback, it won't consume too much of my CPU and you can actually see it play back. I'm actually going to turn on loop playback as well. So it plays back over and over again. So I'm going to make sure loop playback is enabled and I'm going to press play. And maybe a little bit longer. Yeah. And render it. It's hard to do when you're live streaming because I don't want the, if I overload my CPU, my audio and video is going to unsync. That's the issue. Oh, Marcus had a really good suggestion. Name it intermediate and advanced. That's great. Okay. Instead of harder and easier, maybe I should do that. So I'll go into harder slice here. And instead of the word harder, I'll type in advanced. Good job, Marcus. Thank you for that. And then for the easier slice, I'll type in beginner. Now, also, what if I want to go back and I'm like, you know what? I don't like this font and I don't like these colors and I want to change them. Well, do I have to go into each and every single one and change the color and the font? Not necessarily. So if I go into my effects and I take a look at what this actual text is, so let's go into star jumps, for example, and I'll go into, not effects, sorry, graphics. Right here, you can see in styles, it says none right now. So I can add a style. So whatever style this happens to be right now, I'm just going to say create style. And this is going to be blocky under text. No, I'm going to do blocky blue. That's what it's going to be called, blocky blue. So then when I go back to my sections, I go to harder slice, hear this word advanced, I can add the style blocky blue. And then again, when I go to sections into easier slice, I can add the style blocky blue. So now they're all labeled with blocky blue. So I go back to my main organization here and say I want, okay, say like my client comes back to me or whoever, maybe I want to change it up and it should be like a different font, for example. So I'll go into one of them, any of them, because now they're all labeled with the master style blocky blue. So I'll go into star jumps, for example, and I'll change it. So I'll change the font to something like Papyrus. I'm just kidding. That wasn't Papyrus. Ew, that looks Proxima Nova condensed. It's a different blocky, but sure, it's a different blocky. And then a different blue. Let's just do like a darker blue. Okay, no, I don't like it. A lighter gray blue. I don't like that either. Wow, maybe a lighter purple. Okay, that looks good. So now we can use this push to track or style button to update the blocky blue style. So I can say push it to blocky blue. So now if I go back to the main section, all of it's been updated with that same color. Okay, clear in and out. Let's actually take a look at that again. So let's just render it real quick from the beginning of that section to the end. We'll go, I always save before I render, by the way. I don't know if how often you save. Premiere has an auto save feature, and you can actually set how many minutes apart it auto saves. But I also just automatically, like my hand always goes to Command S always before I render. Marcus asks, can you save styles across projects? So you can save styles across projects. However, your Premiere Pro projects need to be in a production in order to save styles. So when you open up here, when you go to File, New, you know how it says Project? Well, there's also Production. And inside of a production, you could have multiple projects and you can share assets in between. So, say you have a project in your production that is just textiles, right? Then you can use them across multiple projects. So look at that. So it starts with star jumps and I give modifications here. Let's actually check. You remember earlier when we had that, we added that warp stabilizer to this clip. Let's actually check if that worked. Look how good that worked. Oh, hold on. It's not playing back because I'm here. No, it's very wonky, huh? That's okay. We don't need warp stabilizer. I think sometimes it kind of wonks out because it's trying to stabilize the person in the center or whatever the object is instead of the environment. So if you really want to stabilize it, After Effects is the way to go. That's how I usually do it when I'm stabilizing the environment, but that's fine. We're going to delete that warp stabilizer. We don't need it. Okay. So now that we have our sections and we've reframed it, let's actually also add that side text that I was talking about as well, so that we can have sort of a cohesive look going, right? So what I want to do is I want to create basically a graphic that will show what is going to happen and what step we are on. And I want to save that graphic so that I can reuse it over and over and over again. So to make that graphic, first I need to know how many different exercises I have. And I have them written down here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9. You can see I have my little notepad here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need 9 lines of text. So I'll go to T over here for text, and I'll start typing line 1. You can see that shows up as a layer over here in this text graphic. Now, I don't want to put 9 layers of graphics here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't want to put that, right? I want all the layers to be contained within one graphic that I can reuse again and again and again. So those layers are going to be over here. So let's just figure out line 1 first, and then we can add all of the other lines. So line 1, first of all, I want it to be left justified, because when I add more text and when I add more fields, I want them to grow from the left to the right. So luckily, by default, it is left justified or left aligned. So line 1 here. Okay. That looks good to me. Let's make it a nice round number over here for our location. So I'm going to do 130 and then 190. That looks good. And then I'm just going to add a lot more lines. So I'm going to right click and say duplicate. And then this line 1 here, I'm going to move down to, let's see, it was at 190. Let's do 260. You're going to have to help me out here with math. Let's do 190, 290. If I do 290, okay, so I just have to add 100 pixels every time. That's easy enough. So I'm going to do it a bunch of times. So line 2, there we go. And so on and so forth. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Duplicate, 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 move all of these to the bottom here. Line 2, line 3. So this is going to be 390. This is going to be 490, 590, 690. Oh, what happened? This one is 690. 590. I think they got a little bit stacked on top of each other. 409. Oh, 490. There we go. Line 2, we'll do line 3, line 4, line 5, line 6. Oh my God, are we going to make it? I think so. 3 more, right? This is high stakes right here. Okay, 3 more lines here at the bottom. As you can see, they're all in one graphic, which is exactly what we want. So the last one was 690. So this one is 790. Who knew you were going to be doing math today? 890. You know, when I was in school, I never thought my math would come in handy. Line 6, line 7, line 7, line 8, and line 9. And I'm actually going to select all of them and move them up by holding down Shift. So there we go. Cool. So as you can see, all of them here are also under effect controls, and all of them have a little bit of, you can add keyframes to all of them if you want. But for me, I'm actually not going to add keyframes. All I want to do is just change the color of one of them. And that's going to be the one that we are on. So for this one, this is going to be the first one. So I'm going to change the fill color to that blue color, blue with a white stroke. Let's do that. Let's do a darker blue. And this is how people know which one they're on. So now that I have line 1 through line 9, I also want to add a little text box to the back. So I'm going to go to new layer over here, new layer. Let's do rectangle. And of course, the rectangle is added to the top. So we don't want that. We want it added to the bottom. Over here, let's give it a fill of a light blue and change the opacity down. It's darker blue. There we go. Cool. So that's going to be our box that we're writing in, right? And then we can always change the size of the shape. So now that we have this little graphic, I just right click and I go to export as motion graphics template. So what we essentially made was a template that then we can use over and over and over again every single time we need to write stuff down. But because I know specifically exactly what I need, before I save this template as just line, 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 I actually want to write in what is in there. So I'm going to go 6x8 walks, 12x8 side lunges, 4x8 high knees. So this is going to make it really, really, really easy to later be able to change what step we're on. And I also like it because it shows people exactly what's coming up so they can get ready. 4x8 side reaches. Two by 8 overhead reaches, 2x8 side reaches, and then 2x8 overhead reaches. And I can even now adjust my shape here as well. So there we go. So now with all of this written in there, I'm going to save it. So I'm going to go right click, export as motion graphics template, and literally write fitness video, not fitness video. I'm going to write 2-minute warm up. And I'm just going to put in my local templates folder because I'm not trying to save this and hand this off to another editor because I'm the editor and this is specifically for this video. So I'm going to say, okay. Great. So now if I go to browse it should show up right here. So then if I want, I can drag it onto my next one over here. There we go. But now I'm in the side lunges, right? So for the styles of walks, I can actually make it a style. So I'm going to create a style and I'm going to say highlighted action. And then for this one, I'm going to create a text style and I'm going to say pink text. So the side lunges, I'm going to make that the highlighted action, and the walks, I'm going to make that the pink text. So there we go. And then I can actually take the whole thing and make it smaller and put it up over here in the corner if I want. And I don't also have to have it out the whole time, right? I can maybe give it a little bit of movement if I want to and save that version with movement should I want to. So for example, I can go to the very beginning of it, put in a position keyframe at like, I don't know, 10 frames in. So I'll go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, put a position keyframe, then go to the very beginning and then move it off screen. So it comes onto the screen in 10 frames. Maybe have it stay there for a little bit. Then put that position keyframe again and then move it off the screen in 10 frames. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then move it off the screen here. And then end it like there. So it comes on. It's on screen for a little bit, and then it comes off, right? Let's actually make this its own template. So the movement, the motion at the beginning and at the end, which happens here in these keyframes, I'm going to save that intro and that outro duration inside the template. So I'm just going to drag the intro duration and outro duration out. So that means that no matter how much I stretch this this template, the intro duration and outro duration will always be that length, will always be 10 frames each. So now that I have this intro and outro duration and I sort of put it on the top left here, I'm going to right click. I'm going to say export as motion graphics template. And then it's like 2-minute warm up left slide. So left tells me that it's on the left side. Slide tells me that it has a little bit of a slide animation in it. I'm going to say okay. Let's see. Anika says, I was wondering when exporting a really long video from Premiere Pro, other than changing the target and max bitrate settings, is there another way to decrease file size when exporting an MP4? Yeah, that's how I do it, but some people recommended Handbrake and using Media Encoder. Yeah, I mean, if you decrease file size, you're going to decrease quality as well. So you got to watch out for that. So you can see that the 2-minute warm-up left slide is now here. So I can just then drag it into literally every single thing. Here we go. This one, I can make it bigger. So scale it back up to 100. And then maybe use the anchor point to move it around so that I don't mess with the thing. Or because this is the same framing as before, maybe I just drag in the 2-minute warm up, the regular sized one. And I just put it over here with no animation. And again, now that we're on the high knees, and I know we're on the high knees because I can see it here, we want the high knees to be highlighted. So I'm going to take that one back down to regular pink text. I'm going to go to high knees and make that the highlighted action. Another thing that's fun is maybe I want a countdown timer as well. So let's put a little countdown timer on everything. If you go to Essential Graphics, browse Adobe Stock, there are literally thousands of different pre-built templates. Like we created our own just now. There's thousands of pre-built professional templates. So let's go over here. Let's select free because I'm looking for a free template. And let's just type the word countdown onto it. And there we go. We have a countdown cards timer. So let's actually drag that into our project. Here it is. This is how it looks by default. It's a little too long though, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to rate stretch it. So we're going to press R on the keyboard, which transforms our mouse into a rate stretch tool. And then we're going to rate stretch this graphic to fit however long we need it to. And then we can adjust the graphic with the edit tab under Essential Graphics. So for example, animation style. Right now, the animation style looks like that. But maybe if we change the animation style to 2, what does that look like? That's cute. What if it's number 3? What does that look like? Oh, I like that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Main size, let's make it smaller and then position it to the top. To the top right. Let's see. Top left. If we position it to the top right, what would that look like? Oh, it still works. Okay. I'll have it on the top right. And that way I can now add it across everything. So for example, I'm going to take this little countdown graphic and I'm going to add it to the end of every one of these exercises by holding down Alt and just dragging it to the very end. So holding down Alt duplicates it and drags it, right? And drag this to the very end of each of the sections so that you know exactly when that section is going to end. And I like keeping everything on the same level. So let's actually put everything on the same level. We'll take all these countdown graphics and we'll select them, hold down Alt and click up so that they're all on the same level. We'll select all of these, what the actual stuff is graphics. We'll hold down Alt, put them all on the same level. Yeah, that way everything is color-coded, organized. We love color coding. We love organizing. And now that same countdown is added to the end of everything. So right before we finish, we have the little countdown going. Nice. All right. This is looking good. This is in good shape. One thing I do want to add is here, I want to add the 2-minute warm-up thing. So right when I look, I'm going to press M for marker, just so I can set that marker. I'm going to press M again. So let's make those graphics. I'll go to the text tool and I'll type in 2-minute warm-up. 2-minute. Make that bigger. And then move it. Now in this one, because they appear at different times, I will actually make 2 separate graphics for this and not have them on 2 layers in the same graphic. Two-minute. Well, I could. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll duplicate this, move it over, warm up. I'll move the countdown cards to the bottom so that they don't mess with me here. 2-minute warm up. Let's go back to 2-minute warm up. Let's make it tall caps or all caps. Yeah, we'll make it all caps. There we go. Move it around a little bit. 2-minute warm up. Okay, so I built it as layers, but then what I'll do is I will duplicate it by holding down Alt, moving down. The first one will just have the word 2-minute enabled, and then the second one will just have the word warm up enabled. And the one that's 2-minute will start at this marker, and the one that's warm up will start at the second marker. So as I look at it, 2-minute, warm up. And there we go. We start with that one. Now, it also helps to have a progress tracking bar, which is the next thing I'll add. It's sort of building on what we did earlier with this, but just a lot simpler. So what I'm going to do is create a new graphic. So I'll go to Essential Graphics, Edit. I'll go to New, press that, and I'll just say rectangle. And I'll create a rectangle that is the width of the entire screen, but is very skinny, right? And I'll move it to the bottom here. So that's going to be the bottom of our progress bar. I'm going to rename it bottom back bar. I'm going to say back bar. Then I'm going to duplicate it. The top one, I'm going to rename top bar. And I'm going to change the fill color. Ugh, of course. When I stream, it never chooses the fill color correctly, but that's fine. There we go. And then I'm going to make it so that the bar extends with the length of each clip. So the first way I'm going to do that is firstly put this on a new layer, extend it to the length of the clip, give it a different color. So label, right click label, let's say blue, just so that we can kind of see what I'm talking about. And I want that purple bar to start on the left and then fill in the full length. So I'm going to go to shape top bar here under effect controls. And then over here, I'm going to make a path keyframe. So there's that keyframe. Now, right now, the shape is filled in all the way to the right. So that keyframe should be at the very end of our animation. Then the first keyframe should be with the shape all the way to the left. So I'm going to, again, select the shape itself, top bar, and then move it over to the left. So let me zoom in to like 200% so I can get that end of it going. 50%, maybe that's easier. Move it all the way to the left right here. And here's that keyframe. I just want the keyframe to be at the very beginning. So I'm just going to move the keyframe over. So check that out. Now this bottom bar fills from left to right for the entire duration of this workout clip. But the problem is, if I try to duplicate it right now, duplicate it, move it over so that it fills this one, and then extend it, what happens is when I extend it, it only fills up to the length of this one, right? So it'll stop filling up before the end of the clip. You can see that the keyframe hasn't adjusted or moved. So when I play it, you can see it ends in 3, 2, 1, but I'm still dancing in the back, right? So in order to do that, we have to create a template and we have to create an intro and outro animation that is 1 frame long. So we'll go back to the beginning of that graphic. We'll go 1 frame to the right by pressing the right arrow button. And that is where we want our intro animation to end. The same thing for the end. We'll go all the way to the end, and then we'll go 1 frame to the left. And that is where we want our outro animation to start. So our intro and outro animations are just 1 frame long. And now we right click, we go to export as motion graphics template, and we name it bottom progress bar pink and blue. And we're going to say, okay. It's going to save as a motion graphics template here under browse. If I go to my templates, bottom progress bar. So now we can drag it and extend it. And it's always going to be the length that we drag it out to, which is very exciting, because then it's very easy to customize this to whatever length we need. All we do, we don't even have to rate stretch it. We just drag it. Because the countdown timer we rate stretched because it didn't have this option, because it had, you see, it had these little end caps on it, which meant that you couldn't durationally stretch it. You had to rate stretch it in order for it to stretch out to the length that you needed to. But now you can see here, like even this one right here, you can see it's going a lot faster because it's based on the length, right? Last but not least, we have about a few minutes. I want to show you how I would do the music situation here. So let's go back to the beginning here, and let's actually hide all these layers so that we don't see them. And what I want to do is I want to place markers on the timeline for the beat. So every time you see my feet going down, I'm going to press M and I'm going to introduce that marker. 1, 2, marker, 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 marker. So that is the beat, right? And you can see as I've put those M's in, that beat is right here. This is the beats per minute. And I've allocated it with markers. So here they are, marker, 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 marker. Why is my pen so small all of a sudden? Marker, 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 right? So now I'm going to grab my music here under audio, grab that, drag it in, and I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, I've already added markers to this one. But you know, you get it. Essentially what I'm going to do is as I'm listening to the music, I'm going to add markers in. I'm going to press M, 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 and I'm going to have the music selected so that the markers show up here. And I've already done it. So here are all the markers on the music track itself. So now what I want to do is line up these markers with the beat markers that I made of my feet. And of course, they're not going to line up perfectly because it's a different beat. It's a different beats per minute. So we'll go to the first marker here, line it up with the first marker here. And as you can see here, it doesn't fully line up. This marker and this marker don't line up with this marker and this marker. The music is going faster than my feet. So I have to slow the music down to fit my feet. And let's actually play it so that you can see the dissonance here. Right? So what I'm going to do is let me cut off the end here. So I just pressed C on my keyboard. I'm going to cut that off for now. And I'm going to change my my mouse to a rate stretch tool by pressing R. R, rate stretch. And I'm going to stretch this out until the markers more or less match up between the beats. It's not an exact science, and I can actually make it even more exact if I want to by clicking in this area, right-clicking in this area, and going to show audio time units, and then turning off snapping over here by pressing S or turning off the magnet icon. So now I can be a little bit more accurate. This looks good already. Like this lines up, this lines up, this lines up, but I think I need to stretch it even more. It's not exact quite yet. So I'm going to stretch it even more. Now you're probably wondering, like, what? You're distorting the music. Well, there's a way that you aren't distorting the music, and I'll show it to you in just a sec. Okay, well that's close enough. Let's just call that close enough. And let's play it. So you can see that at least the beats line up with my feet. So they line up, but it sounds slowed down. The pitch changed. So if you right click and go to speed duration, there is this option called maintain audio pitch. And if you select it, you'll see that it'll change the pitch to what it was before. The last step, I would say, is now we have to make it the length of the video, right? So the video itself is under 2 minutes long, but our audio here, if we actually, if we show all of it, our audio here is 3.5 minutes long. So we have to cut it, but in a smart, intelligent way, where we don't have to do much work. So in this one, you do have to pop over to Adobe Audition really, really quickly for one very, very simple effect. Somebody said, I created a circle and did a radial wipe on it. It's much simpler. Not sure what you're referring to, but anyway, I'm going to right click and go to edit clip in Adobe Audition. But before I do that, I'm actually going to duplicate it because I really dislike having to, I'm going to change it back to frames because I really dislike having to change any clips that I send out from Premiere because sometimes the changes can be burned in. So I'm going to duplicate by holding down Alt, dragging down, and then just disable this one. So it's there in case I need it. And then the first one, I'm going to right click, go to edit clip in Adobe Audition, and it's going to open up Adobe Audition and pull the clip up in Adobe Audition. Is the cat trying to get in? You hear her? Is she crying? She could be. Okay, so here it is in Adobe Audition. And what I'm going to do is instead of the waveform way that I'm looking at it right now with the waveform and the spectral frequency display, I have to pull it up in the multi-track editor over here, multi-track. So that's what I'm going to do, multi-track. When you open it up, it asks you, hey, it's a new multi-track session. What would you like to call it? So I'm going to call it Fitness 2 minutes over here. And then I'm going to drag the audio extracted file, so the file that was extracted from Premiere, into my multi-track session. And now when it's in the multi-track, we get this option called Remix, and I'm going to click Enable Remix. And what Remix does is it allows Adobe's Sensei technology, which is their AI technology, to read the track, to read the BPM, and it's going to allow us to shorten the track to whatever length we want. So right here, target duration, it's right now 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's make it 2 minutes and 20 seconds with a standard deviation of 5 seconds. And let's see what it does. basically is going to find logical cut points in the track and insert them where they need to be. And check it out. I wanted it to be 2 minutes, 20 seconds. It gave me 2 minutes, 19 seconds and seven audio units, 7 frames. Oh, it's done a lot of different cuts. That's not what we want. Let's redo. Ooh. Oh, hold on. Did I do something wrong? Hold on. Audio extracted. There we go. Enable remix. I did this earlier, so I know that it works really, really well. Which is why I know that that was a weird bug. You know, a lot of times it works when you're doing it, and then when you have to live stream it, it's always like, what? Another way, instead of typing in the target duration, you can just hover your mouse over this little staircase icon in the top right corner, and then that turns into a remix icon. So then you can just drag it to your target duration. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to drag it to just around like 2.5 minutes. There we go. And you can see that the new duration is like 2 minutes and 13 seconds. That's kind of perfect for me. And then we have the cuts that it inserted right here and right here. And it shows you with the squiggly line. So I can actually play through the cuts and you can see how well it did. Pretty good, right? And this is the other cut. So then you would go to File, Export, Multi-track Mixdown, Entire Session. You would export that file, then bring it back into Premiere. I already have it over here, and so I can put it in over there. Maybe I can put it on the first track here. Disable these. I don't need these. And then the last thing that I kind of want to do is I want the first step of my action. Let's go back to editing. I want the first step of my action to happen on the beat, the first beat. So let me actually find that. So that's the first beat right there. I'm going to put a marker there. So I want this cut, or actually not this cut. I just want my first step. Where's my first step? Bam. That's my first step. So I want my first step. I'll put a marker there. I want this marker and this marker to line up essentially, because that's going to give me the most like oomph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock these audio tracks so that they don't move. I'm going to use my A button, and the A button selects everything after my arrow, because remember, it's not just this clip. It's not just this clip that I'm moving this way to line it up with this marker. I'm also moving these clips, but I'm also moving all of these clips as well, right? And I want to do it all at the same time. So I'm going to just press A. That selects everything after, so you can see it selected everything. And then I'm just going to move it so that my first step lines up with this marker. And then I'm going to just extend this a little bit. Extend, move that over, extend this graphic, scooch this graphic, and there we go. Last but not least, if I want to throw a quick little color situation, I can, but I'm not going to because we don't have time, I don't think. We're about 30 seconds out, so let me just do a quick little render, and then I will play it for you. I hope you enjoyed today's demonstration. We talked about how to create custom text, how to move text, how to do continuity, how to reframe things, how to retime things. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in 2 weeks where I'll